Michigan's head coach Jim Harbaugh interviewing with the Los Angeles Chargers. Not a major surprise to a lot of folks, but what does it mean for Michigan? What does it mean to Jim Harbaugh? What could it mean? I won't really go down the NFL route. Make sure to subscribe right here. We appreciate y'all being locked in. Let us know how you feel about Jim Harbaugh's flirtation yet again with the NFL. So again, this is not surprising. You can't blame anybody with this circumstance right now with Jim Harbaugh interviewing with the Chargers, because for the NFL, of course they want to hire him. Of course the NFL wants to bring Jim Harbaugh in to be one of their head coaches because he's crushed it pretty much everywhere he's been. He brought Michigan back to being a national power when they weren't a national power really when he took over that job. He's won in the NFL as well, 44-19-1 in the league. And overall, if your job is to bring in the best coach possible, Jim Harbaugh, you have to believe, is in that small pool of candidates. So you can't blame the NFL for wanting to bring Jim Harbaugh in to be one of their head coaches. The Chargers obviously are wise to interview him. And you can't really blame Jim Harbaugh for flirting once again with the NFL. The thing with this whole situation around Jim Harbaugh interviewing with this job for the Chargers, the tough part for Michigan is you're dealing with the unquantifiable. And what I mean by that is the list of pros to stay at Michigan, in my opinion, and I'm biased because I'm a college football diehard kind of guy, but the list of pros I think for Michigan are pretty long. You're going to get paid. Your job security is greater than selling electric blankets in Alaska. You're going to have one as long as you want one. You are in a situation where you have built it to win. I know J.J. McCarthy left for the NFL, but even with that being said, you have a squad right now that can run it back and compete for a Big Ten title yet again, compete for a college football national title yet again. This thing isn't going anywhere if you're Jim Harbaugh. Also, your stock currently, I believe as an NFL head coach, I don't see it dwindling too much over the course of the next couple of years. With the point being, you could stay in college and come back this time next year, and if there's not a job that you feel 1,000% excited about, take a job next year. So that's kind of where we're at. But going back to the unquantifiable, as long as the pros list is for Michigan, the unquantifiable part of this is you don't know how much an NFL job means to Jim Harbaugh. Because remember, he was more or less a missed pass interference call away from having a chance to win a Super Bowl over his brother when he was the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. He's already conquered the college football landscape. He's already won a national title. How much does it mean to him to win a Super Bowl and to climb that mountain? We can't quantify, even if that's the only bullet point on the list of pros for the NFL. And I think there's more, but even if that's the major one, we don't know how much that's worth for him. From a personal side of things, I'll kind of talk this out from an anecdote for myself. When we lived in Texas, my wife and I, there was much more pros for us to stay in Texas before moving for this job. Families there, friends there, established life there. Both of us had steady jobs there. But the major pro, the unquantifiable for us was I felt a ton of purpose doing what we're doing now here in sports media. And so I'm not saying that my situation compared to Jim Harbaugh's is one-to-one, but I am saying that one piece on the pros list for Jim Harbaugh to take an NFL job might just be the only piece of that list that matters. That might be the only reason that he's really factoring here and has the most weight in this whole situation. So the question is going to be for some folks, well, if Jim Harbaugh leaves for the NFL, what happens for Michigan? Well, I think you have a 30-second head coaching search, and I use search in air quotes there because 30 seconds is probably how long it takes to walk down to Sharon Moore's office and pass him the keys to the whole car and say, hey, you're the head coach now. We appreciate you. And maybe there's a little bit more of a back and forth with negotiations. The bottom line here is Sharon Moore is your guy if Jim Harbaugh leaves for the NFL. Period. There's no other discussion. And the reason why I feel so strongly about this is the way that Michigan has won the last couple of seasons has been different than how other teams have won. And I'm not saying from a schematic style, although that's a part of it. Michigan has not been that team that recruits in the top 3 every single year and brings in, 10 5-stars in every class. Michigan has won in large part based on their culture, in large part based on their development. And that's extremely important to protect if you're Michigan because that's something that's rare across the college football landscape. In the way that Michigan does it. Not saying other teams don't have it, but to do it the way that Michigan has done it, I want to keep as much as possible the way of doing things that won us a national championship when Jim Harbaugh was there as for when he leaves. And you also have a coach in Sherrone Moore, one, who gets that and can help you keep that cruising altitude. Second part of this is he is 3-0 in important games for Michigan, beating Ohio State, beating Maryland, beating Penn State. I mean, like, that's a pretty strong track record. When the chips were down and it was winning time for Michigan, when Jim Harbaugh was not able to be the head coach for them in game, Sherrone Moore did the job. Now, it's very different from being a head coach on game day and being a head coach during the week and during the course of a calendar year in the college football world, as crazy as it is right now with recruiting and the portal and all that. What I'm trying to say here is you keep what has worked for you in-house as much as possible. You make Sherrone Moore the next head coach at Michigan if Jim Harbaugh leaves. Now, again, transparently, where there's smoke, there's fire. People that run in NFL circles and know a lot more about this whole thing than me seem to think that Jim Harbaugh is leaning towards the NFL. But again, we'll see what happens. It sounds like nothing is imminent at this point in time with him taking a job, but he is interviewing with the Chargers. More power to the Chargers, more power to Jim Harbaugh. Doesn't matter the list of pros and cons. If that one pro of wanting to conquer the NFL mountain is all that matters to him, or is the overall, deciding factor for him, it's hard to blame him. Hard to blame him. And for Michigan, I think they'll be fine if they make Sherrone Moore the next head coach. Let us know what you think about Jim Harbaugh and his prospects of leaving for the NFL and the prospect of Sherrone Moore being the next head coach in Ann Arbor. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.